Russia, 1916. A land of vast landscapes and even vaster turmoil. A vast empire teetered on the brink of collapse, its foundations crumbling under the weight of internal strife and external pressures. The Great War raged across Europe, draining the nation's strength and resources, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. At the helm, Tsar Nicholas II struggled to maintain control, his grip on power slipping with each passing day, and whispering in his ear, a figure of immense power and controversy, Grigori Rasputin, the enigmatic mystic. Born a peasant in the remote village of Pokrovskoye, Rasputin rose to prominence through unorthodox means, defying the rigid social hierarchy of the time. He was a self-proclaimed holy man, a mystic who claimed healing powers and divine visions, captivating those around him with his enigmatic presence. His charisma drew followers, his gaze held them captive, and his words seemed to possess an otherworldly power. But beneath the surface of piety lurked a darkness that whispered of scandal and manipulation, casting a long shadow over his reputation. His influence seeped into the very heart of the Russian court, where he wielded power with a deft and often unscrupulous hand. The Tsarina Alexandra, desperate to save her hemophiliac son Alexei, saw in Rasputin a beacon of hope, a miracle worker who could heal her beloved child. He became her confidant, his word her law, and his influence over her grew with each passing day. The Russian people, however, saw something far more sinister, a man whose intentions were shrouded in mystery and whose actions spoke of corruption. Whispers of Rasputin's debauchery and his hold over the Tsarina spread like wildfire, fueling the flames of discontent and suspicion. He became a symbol of the rot within the ruling class, a lightning rod for the growing discontent that simmered beneath the surface, threatening to boil over into revolution. Rasputin's influence over the Tsarina was absolute. His presence was not just tolerated but welcomed in the highest echelons of power. She believed implicitly in his ability to heal her son, Tsarevich Alexei, who suffered from the debilitating condition of hemophilia. Rasputin was seen as a miracle worker, someone who could ward off the crippling effects of hemophilia, a disease that had no cure at the time. His presence in the royal court became a source of deep resentment among the Russian aristocracy. They were wary of his growing influence. They saw him as a charlatan, a manipulator who preyed on the Tsarina's desperation. To them, he was a dangerous outsider. His presence, they believed, undermined the Tsar's authority, threatened the very fabric of their society. The royal family was in turmoil. He had become a dangerous liability, a threat to the empire itself. The stakes were incredibly high. The people echoed these sentiments. Public discontent was growing, and Rasputin was at the center of it all. Rasputin became the embodiment of their grievances, the target of their anger. He was blamed for the empire's woes. His name was cursed in the streets, his image defaced on posters and walls. The public outcry was palpable. The stage was set for a confrontation, a desperate act to rid Russia of the man they believed held the empire hostage. The tension was mounting. A conspiracy began to take shape, a plan to eliminate Rasputin and sever his grip on the royal family. The fate of the empire hung in the balance. The conspiracy was led by Prince Felix Yusupov, a man of wealth, influence, and a deep-seated hatred for Rasputin. He believed the mad monk was leading Russia to ruin, corrupting the Tsarina and jeopardizing the future of the empire. Yusupov, joined by a small group of co-conspirators, devised a plan to eliminate Rasputin. They were driven by patriotism, fueled by a belief that their actions, though drastic, were necessary to save their beloved Russia. The plan was shrouded in secrecy, whispered in hushed tones behind closed doors. They knew the risks involved, the potential consequences of their actions, but the threat Rasputin posed, they believed, far outweighed any personal danger. Their target was a formidable one. Rasputin, they knew, was cunning and resourceful, a survivor who had evaded numerous threats before. They would need to be meticulous, ruthless, and above all, lucky. On a frigid December night in 1916, Rasputin was lured to the Moika Palace, the residence of Prince Yusupov. The air was thick with the promise of an evening filled with opulence and indulgence. He was promised an evening of revelry, a chance to indulge in the pleasures he was rumored to enjoy. The table was set with the finest wines and the most decadent desserts, a feast fit for royalty. It was a trap. Yusupov's co-conspirators had laced cakes and wine with cyanide, enough poison to kill a man several times over. They meticulously prepared the deadly concoctions, ensuring that every bite and sip was lethal. Rasputin, seemingly unfazed, consumed the poisoned treats with gusto. He ate and drank with a hearty appetite, showing no signs of distress. Hours passed, and still, he showed no signs of succumbing to the lethal dose. The conspirators watched in disbelief as the minutes turned into hours. Frustrated and alarmed, the conspirators grew desperate. Their carefully laid plans seemed to be unraveling before their eyes. One of them, a man named Vladimir Purishkevich produced a revolver. The tension in the room was palpable as he took aim. He fired, the shot echoing through the palace, striking Rasputin in the chest. The sound reverberated through the grand halls. The mad monk collapsed, his body sprawled on the floor. The conspirators breathed a sigh of relief, believing their ordeal was over. Believing their mission accomplished, the conspirators prepared to dispose of the body. They moved quickly, eager to erase any evidence of their crime. But as they moved towards him, Rasputin stirred. His fingers twitched, and his eyes fluttered open. He lunged at Purishkevich, his eyes blazing with fury. The room erupted into chaos as he fought back with a ferocity that stunned his attackers. A struggle ensued, a desperate fight for survival. The conspirators, now fighting for their own lives, grappled with the seemingly indestructible Rasputin. The palace erupted in chaos. Rasputin, despite being shot and poisoned, fought back with astonishing strength. He broke free from his attackers and stumbled out into the courtyard. Purishkevich, regaining his composure, fired again, striking Rasputin twice more. The mad monk collapsed onto the snow-covered ground, his body riddled with bullets. The conspirators, exhausted and shaken, believed their ordeal was finally over. They wrapped his body in a heavy cloth, bound it with ropes, and transported it to a nearby bridge. Under the cover of darkness, they hurled Rasputin's body into the icy waters of the Neva River. The current, they hoped, would sweep him away, erasing all evidence of their deed. But as they watched the dark water close over their victim, a sense of unease lingered. Rasputin, they knew, was a man who defied expectations. The news of Rasputin's death spread like wildfire through the streets of Petrograd. For many, it was a cause for celebration, a sign that their voices had been heard. The mad monk was gone, his grip on the Tsarina broken. But the relief was short-lived. The empire, already teetering on the brink, continued its descent into chaos. The Tsarina, devastated by the loss of her confidant, withdrew further into herself. The Tsar, weakened and indecisive, seemed powerless to stop the tide of revolution that was about to engulf Russia. Within months, the Romanov dynasty would fall. The Tsar, the Tsarina, and their children would meet a tragic end, their fate forever intertwined with the legacy of the enigmatic mad monk they had trusted so completely. The story of Grigori Rasputin continues to fascinate and horrify even a century after his mysterious and dramatic death. Was he a true mystic, a man of God with extraordinary healing abilities and spiritual insight? Or was he a cunning manipulator, a charlatan who exploited the vulnerabilities of others for his own personal gain? The truth, as is often the case in history, likely lies somewhere in between these extremes. Rasputin was a complex and contradictory figure, a man of both great charisma and deep, troubling flaws. His story is a tale of power, ambition, and the perils of unchecked influence within the royal court. What do you think? Was Rasputin a villain or a victim of his circumstances? Share your thoughts in the comments below and join the discussion. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more captivating stories from history's rich tapestry.